start the story the chamber was designed to intimidate. Ambassador Lisa Hayes had known that from the moment she stepped through the translucent archway and onto the polished obsidian floor of the Galactic Council's grand forum. The ceiling vaulted. Overhead, 300 meters of engineered crystal that shifted through slow gradients of violet and amber, casting the assembled delegates in an ever-changing, almost theatrical light. 40-7 species, 1400 years of recorded galactic governance, and one human standing alone at the center of it all. Lisa kept her spine straight, her hands clasped loosely behind her back. She'd practiced this posture 1,000 times in front of the mirror aboard the Resolution, Earth's diplomatic flagship. Respectful, unyielding. Around her, the Council's representatives sat in concentric rings that rose like an amphitheater. Each delegation occupied a tiered platform, their seating arrangements as much a display of political hierarchy as physical necessity. The Vrintal chitinous beings with voices like grinding stone held the highest tier. The Kethrel, sleek and amphibious, occupied the second. Humanity's proposed seat, if granted, would have placed them on the fourth ring. Would have. Lisa's jaw tightened imperceptibly. High Chancellor Morvex of the Vrin loomed at the apex of the chamber, his forearms folded in a posture that could have been contemplation or disdain. His translator rendered his words in flat, clinical English. Ambassador Hayes, you have presented your petition with admirable thoroughness. Polite words, empty words. Lisa had been in enough boardrooms, war rooms, and negotiation halls to recognize a prelude to rejection when she heard one. For 32 years, Morvex continued, humanity has participated in galactic trade accords. You have contributed to relief efforts. You have shared technological advancements, some quite impressive, we acknowledge. You have conducted yourselves with what we might call restraint. Restraint. The word hung in the air like an accusation dressed as praise. Lisa didn't move, didn't blink. She'd been briefed on this possibility. Hell, she'd expected it. But hearing it spoken aloud, hearing the Council frame humanity's cooperation as mere restraint, felt like a slap wrapped in silk. However, Morvex said, and the chamber seemed to lean forward, the Council has deliberated extensively, and we have concluded that full membership is not appropriate at this time. The murmur that rippled through the tiers was soft, practiced. No one seemed surprised. Lisa's voice was steady when she spoke. May I ask the Council's reasoning? Morvex tilted his angular head. Your species expands too quickly. You colonize too aggressively. Your fleets grow faster than your diplomatic corps. These are not the behaviors of a species ready to integrate into a cooperative galactic order. We have adhered to every treaty we've signed, Lisa said, her tone respectful but firm. We've restricted our expansion to unclaimed systems. We've participated in joint defense operations. You have also interrupted Councillor Thrain of the Kethrel. Her voice, a melodic hiss, demonstrated a remarkable capacity for violence when provoked. The Zorvath incursion, the Helios blockade, the Kuiper incident, all defensive actions, Lisa replied, and all within the parameters of parameters. You interpret generously. Thrain's golden eyes gleamed. Your warships are faster, more heavily armed, and more numerous than those of species twice your age. You adapt alien technology at a rate that concerns many in this chamber. Lisa felt the heat rising in her chest, but she forced it down. Losing her temper now would only confirm their narrative. Adaptation is not aggression, she said quietly. and self-defense is not expansion. Morvex raised one clawed hand. Regardless, the vote has been conducted. Humanity's petition for full membership is denied. Lisa exhaled slowly. She'd prepared for this. Earth had prepared for this. I understand, she said. We are disappointed, but we respect the Council's decision. We hope that in time there is more. Lisa's eyes snapped to Morvex. The High Chancellor's the rigid plates of his face could be called expressive, seemed almost apologetic. Almost. The Council has also drafted a resolution concerning humanity's continued participation in the Galactic Trade Network. Lisa's stomach dropped. Effective immediately, Morvex said. Earth's trade routes through Council-controlled space will be subject to new restrictions. All human vessels must submit to inspection at designated checkpoints. Expansion into unclaimed systems within 50 light-years of Council territory is prohibited, and he paused. Humanity will reduce its military fleet by 70% within 30 standard days. The chamber was silent. Lisa stared at him. You're not serious. We are entirely serious, Ambassador. Morvex's tone was glacial. These measures are necessary to ensure galactic stability. Should Earth fail to comply, the Council will authorize enforcement actions. Enforcement actions. Lisa's voice was low, dangerous. You mean military action? We mean, Thrain interjected smoothly, that the Council will take all necessary steps to preserve peace. Lisa looked around the chamber, at the delegates who wouldn't meet her eyes, at the species who had smiled and traded with humanity for 3 decades, who had accepted Earth's aid during the Vryn Plague, who had applauded when human ships arrived to evacuate refugees from the Broken Rim. None of them spoke now. You're not afraid of our expansion, Lisa said slowly. You're afraid we'll surpass you. Morvex didn't deny it. Lisa took a breath, then another. When she spoke again, her voice was calm, professional. I will relay your terms to Earth, but I want you to understand something, High Chancellor. Humanity has spent 3 decades playing by your rules. We've been patient. We've been cooperative. We've bent over backward to earn a seat at this table. She took a single step forward. If you force us to dismantle our defenses, if you threaten us with military action for simply existing, you will learn something about humanity that you should have already known. Morvex tilted his head. And what is that, Ambassador? Lisa's smile was razor-thin. We don't bow twice. She turned and walked toward the exit, her footsteps echoing in the cavernous silence. Behind her, the Council said nothing. They had made their decision. Now Earth would make theirs. Asterisk. The message homed. The resolution hung in the void beyond the Council's orbital platform. A sleek dagger of human engineering against the backdrop of the Helix Nebula. Its hull was polished titanium carbon composite, its lines designed for speed and efficiency rather than the ornate, sweeping curves favored by most Council vessels. Inside, the diplomatic contingent waited. Lisa Hayes stepped through the airlock and immediately felt the shift in atmosphere. Not the recycled air that was the same sterile mix of oxygen and nitrogen it had been an hour ago. No, it was the tension. The way every face turned toward her. The way Captain Marcus Reed stood at parade rest near the viewport, his jaw set like carved stone. Well? Reed asked. Lisa didn't answer immediately. She walked past him, past the cluster of junior diplomats and military attaches, and straight to the communications console. "Patch me through to Geneva," she said to the officer. "Encryption, Alpha 7. Eyes only for Secretary Chen." The young officer's fingers flew across the holographic interface. "Establishing quantum link. You're secure in 30 seconds, Ambassador." Lisa nodded. She turned to face the room. "They rejected us," she said simply. The words landed like a hammer. One of the junior diplomats, Samir Kahali, a brilliant negotiator who'd spent 5 years building relationships with the Kethral, actually staggered. "But we've done everything they asked. Every treaty, every concession, every—" "It wasn't enough," Lisa interrupted. "It was never going to be enough." Reed's expression darkened. "What else?" Lisa met his eyes. The captain was ex-Navy, a veteran of the Kuiper incident and half a dozen border skirmishes. He'd been chosen to command the Resolution not for his diplomatic skills, but because the Admiralty wanted someone competent in case things went sideways. "Smart call. They're demanding we dismantle 70% of our fleet within 30 days, Lisa said. "Trade restrictions, expansion prohibitions, and if we don't comply, they'll enforce it militarily." The room erupted. "They can't. That's insane. We'll never. Enough." Reed's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. The room fell silent. He looked at Lisa. "You're sure that's the exact wording?" "Military enforcement. Word for word, Captain." Red nodded slowly. Then he turned to the tactical officer. "Lieutenant Okoro, what's our current status?" Lieutenant Sarah Okoro pulled up a display. "All systems green, sir. We're at 50% reactor output, defensive grid on standby. Long-range sensors show for Council patrol vessels within 10 million kilometers. Standard configuration, nothing that outguns us." "Yet," Reed murmured. He looked back at Lisa. "Do they know we're armed?" "The Resolution is registered as a diplomatic vessel," Lisa said. "But we're not exactly hiding the missile bays." Reed almost smiled. "No, we're not." The officer spoke up. "Ambassador, Secretary Chen is online. Secure channel established." Lisa nodded and stepped into the small briefing room adjacent to the bridge. The door hissed shut behind her. A moment later, the holographic projector shimmered to life, and Secretary General Yuki Chen's face appeared calm, composed, and deceptively kind. Lisa had seen that face negotiate peace treaties, authorize covert operations, and stare down warlords without flinching. Lisa nodded and stepped into the small briefing room adjacent to the bridge. The door hissed shut behind her. A moment later, the holographic projector shimmered to life, and Secretary General Yuki Chen's face appeared calm, composed, and deceptively kind. Lisa had seen that face negotiate peace treaties, authorize covert operations, and stare down warlords without flinching. "Ambassador Hayes," Chen said, "I've been waiting for your report." "They said no, Madam Secretary." Lisa kept her voice steady. "Full rejection, and they're demanding we disarm." Chen's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. "Give me the specifics." Lisa did. Every word, every term, every thinly veiled threat. When she finished, Chen was silent for a long moment. 70%, the Secretary General said quietly. "They want us defenseless." "Yes, ma'am, and if we refuse, they'll come for us." Chen nodded slowly. "Then they've made their choice." She leaned forward. "Ambassador, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I need a direct answer. Do you believe the Council will follow through on their threat?" Lisa didn't hesitate. Yes, they're terrified of us, Madam Secretary. Not because we're aggressive, because we're competent. In 30 years, we've gone from first contact to matching their technology. In some areas, we've surpassed it. They see us as a threat to their dominance, and they're moving to neutralize us before we become unstoppable. Then they're too late, Chen said softly. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Ma'am? Chun's smile was thin and sharp. Ambassador, I'm going to share something with you. Something that only a handful of people on Earth know about. Project Prometheus. Lisa frowned. I've never heard of it. You weren't supposed to. Chun's eyes were cold now. 20 years ago, after the Zorvath incursion, the Security Council authorized a black budget program. We knew that first contact wouldn't end well, that sooner or later the galaxy would see us as a threat. So we prepared. Lisa's pulse quickened. Prepared how? We built a fleet, Ambassador. A real fleet. Not the patrol ships and escorts the Council sees. Not the frigates and destroyers we parade at trade summits. We built 300 hybrid warships, dreadnoughts, carriers, siege platforms, using every scrap of alien technology we could reverse engineer, and every innovation we could develop in secret. Lisa's mouth went dry. 300. They're hidden. Saturn's rings, the Kuiper belt, inside hollowed-out asteroids in unclaimed systems. The Council has no idea they exist. Chen leaned back. We've been patient, Ambassador. We've played their game. We've smiled and bowed and followed their rules. But we've also been preparing for the day they stopped pretending to be our friends. And that day is today, Lisa whispered. Yes, Chen's voice was steel. Return to Earth, Ambassador. The Council wants a response in 30 days. They'll get one, but not the one they're expecting. Lisa swallowed. What do you want me to tell the crew? Tell them the truth, Chen said. Tell them that humanity doesn't bow, and tell Captain Reed to set course for home. It's time to light the fuse. The hologram flickered and died. Lisa stood alone in the darkened briefing room. Her heart pounding. For 30 years, humanity had been the newcomers, the underdogs, the species trying to prove it belonged, but beneath the surface, in the cold and the dark, they'd been building something else, something the galaxy was about to see for the first time. Lisa took a breath, straightened her uniform, and walked back onto the bridge. Captain Reed, she said, set course for Earth, best possible speed. Reed nodded. Aye, Ambassador. He turned to the helm. You heard her. Take us home. The Resolution turned, its engines flaring to life. Behind them, the Council's orbital platform glittered like a jewel. Ahead of them, Earth waited, and deep in the dark, 300 warships powered up their reactors. Asterisk, the War Ruminorid Command Center, Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Colorado. United States of North America. Earth elevator descent took 90 seconds. 90 seconds of silence, broken only by the hum of machinery and the soft hydraulic hiss of blast doors sliding open at each checkpoint. Lisa Hayes stood beside Captain Reed, both of them flanked by 2 Security Council guards in matte black combat armor. No one spoke. No one needed 2. At 2 kilometers beneath the Rocky Mountains, the elevator finally stopped. The doors opened onto a corridor that didn't exist on any public schematic. Polished concrete walls, recessed lighting that cast everything in cool white. Biometric scanners every 20 meters. This wasn't the old NORAD complex. The museum piece they showed to visiting dignitaries and school tours. This was something else entirely. The guard stepped forward, gesturing toward a reinforced door at the end of the hall. "They're waiting for you, Ambassador." Lisa nodded and walked forward. Reed followed half a step behind, his hand resting unconsciously near where his sidearm would have been if he'd been allowed to carry one this deep. The door recognized Lisa's biometrics and slid open with a pneumatic hiss. The war room was exactly as stark as she'd imagined, a circular chamber 50 meters across, dominated by a holographic display table at its center. The walls were lined with workstations, military officers, intelligence operatives, one focused on their screens with surgical intensity. Above them, a massive projection displayed a real-time map of known space, Earth at the center, surrounded by human colonies in green, council territory in blue, neutral zones in gray, and unclaimed systems in black dot and scattered throughout the black, invisible to everyone but those in this room, were 300 red dots. Project Prometheus. Secretary General Chen stood at the head of the table, flanked by Admiral James Kovacs, Chief of Naval Operations, Director Sarah Okonkwo of Earth Intelligence. All three turned as Lisa entered. "Ambassador Hayes," Chen said. "Captain Reed, welcome home." Lisa approached the table. "Madam Secretary, I wasn't expecting to be briefed this quickly. We don't have time for slow," Kovacs said. The Admiral was a broad-shouldered man in his late 50s, with grey at his temples and the kind of calm that came from commanding carrier battle groups under fire. "The Council gave us 30 days. We're treating that as a countdown to war." Lisa glanced at the holographic display. The red dots pulsed softly, like distant heartbeats. "How long have they been operational?" "Full operational status." Okonkwo leaned forward, her dark eyes sharp. 18 months. But we've been running live-fire exercises for 3 years. Skeleton crews, black-budget pilots, off-the-books, logistics. The Council's intelligence agencies have been looking for a secret fleet since the day we joined the trade accords. They never found it, because we didn't just hide the ships, Kovacs added. We hid the entire supply chain. Asteroid mining operations registered as commercial ventures. Shipyards buried in Saturn's rings under the guise of research stations. Personnel rotations disguised as colonial development programs. Every bolt, every reactor, every railgun was built in secret. Reed whistled softly. "That's ... impressive and terrifying." "It needed to be both," Chen said. She gestured, and the hologram zoomed in on one of the red dots near Saturn. The image resolved into a sleek, predatory warship and brutal, bristling with weapons arrays and armored plating. "This is the Prometheus-class dreadnought, 1,500 meters long, hybrid fusion antimatter reactor, magnetic acceleration cannons, torpedo bays, point defense grids, and stealth plating that makes us nearly invisible to Council sensors." Lisa stared at the ship. It looked nothing like the patrol vessels humanity used for trade and border defense. This was a weapon, pure and simple. "How many of these do we have?" she asked. 50 dreadnoughts, Kovacs said. 75 heavy cruisers, 100 destroyers, 50 frigates, and 25 assault carriers, plus support, vessels, supply ships, electronic warfare platforms, hospital ships. All told, 300 combat-ready warships and another 100 auxiliaries. Reed shook his head slowly. The council has no idea. None, Okonkwo confirmed. Their intelligence picked up rumors 10 years ago. We fed them false leads, pointed them toward decoy shipyards, leaked schematics for outdated designs. They think we're building a defense fleet to replace aging patrol ships. They have no idea we're sitting on the largest unified armada in human history. Lisa looked at Chen. And now you're going to show them. Not yet, Chen said. First, we respond to their ultimatum. Diplomatically, Lisa blinked. You want to negotiate. I want to stall, Chen corrected. We tell the council we need time to deliberate. We express concern about the terms. We ask for clarification, propose counteroffers, request mediation. Standard diplomatic theater. Meanwhile, we mobilize. Kovac nodded. We'll start by recalling all deep space assets, civilian transports, research vessels, trade ships, everything comes home. We'll frame it as a precautionary measure, but what we're really doing is clearing the board. No hostages, no leverage. Then we reposition the Prometheus fleet, Okonkwo added. Move them into staging positions near key jump points and trade routes. Still hidden, but ready to deploy within hours instead of days. And if the council doesn't buy the delays, Lisa asked. Chun's expression was cold. Then we stop talking and start shooting. The room fell silent. Lisa looked around the table at the maps, the readiness reports, the casualty projections flickering on side displays. This wasn't a bluff. This wasn't brinksmanship. Earth was preparing for total war. What's our objective? Lisa asked quietly. If it comes to that, what are we actually trying to achieve? Kovac answered. Best case, we bloody their nose hard enough that they rethink the ultimatum. We show them that enforcing their terms will cost more than they're willing to pay. They back down. We negotiate a real treaty. Everyone walks away. And worst case, Kovac's jaw tightened. We break the council completely. We shatter their fleets, destabilize their alliances, and remake the galactic order with humanity at the center instead of the periphery. Lisa felt her stomach twist. That's not defense, Admiral. That's conquest. That's survival, Chen said sharply. Ambassador, you stood in that chamber. You heard them. They're not interested in coexistence. They're interested in control. They want us weak, dependent, and grateful for whatever scraps they throw us. And if we comply, if we dismantle our fleets and let them dictate our future, we'll never get another chance. So we take it now, Lisa said slowly. While we have the advantage, while we have the initiative, Chen corrected. The council thinks they're in control. They think we're scrambling, desperate, looking for a way out. They have no idea we've been preparing for this exact scenario for 20 years. Reed spoke up. What about civilian casualties? If we go to war with the council, innocent people are going to die. Billions of them, across dozens of species. We're not targeting civilians, Kovac said flatly. This isn't genocide, Captain. We'll hit military targets, infrastructure, command and control networks. We disabled their ability to project force, not their ability to survive, and collateral damage. Reed pressed. Kovac's expression hardened. Is unavoidable, but we'll minimize it. Rules of engagement will be strict: no orbital bombardment of population centers, no bioweapons, no scorched earth tactics. We'll fight clean, more than the council would do for us. Lisa looked at Chen. Do you really believe that? that they'd be worse. Chen didn't hesitate. Ambassador, the Vrin, sterilized a species during their rise to power. The Kethril enslaved 6 others before the Council forced them to stop. The Felorian species we've traded with laughed with committed cultural genocide on 3 subjugated populations. The Council isn't a force for peace, Ambassador. It's a cartel, and we're the upstart competitor they want eliminated. Lisa closed her eyes, took a breath, opened them again. What do you need from me? Chen smiled a small, grim expression. You're going to send a message to the Council, polite, concerned, requesting a 30-day extension to consider their terms. Make it sound like we're desperate for compromise. And while you're doing that, Kovac said, we're going to wake up the fleet. The Admiral gestured, and the holographic display shifted. The 300 red dots began to move slowly at first, then faster, converging on staging positions around Sol and humanity's nearest colonies. Lisa watched them gather. Watched the weapon humanity had built in secret prepare to reveal itself. How long until we're ready? She asked. 72 hours, Kovac said. After that, we're just waiting for the order. Chen looked at Lisa. Send the message, Ambassador. Buy us those 3 days. Lisa nodded. And then, Chen said quietly, we remind the galaxy why humans don't bow twice. End of part 3, ready for part 4.